through your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
I think this really is how it started, folks. How did MadMax start? How did they get to that world, that idea, that dystopian nightmare? How did they get there? Stupid decision making, lack of intelligent thought, intentional destruction of nations. Welcome to the Prepared Mind, where we get ready for shit hitting the fan. Well, it already has. So I really hope you're prepared with food, water. You need shelter. You need clothing. You need medicine. You need means of self-defense. Oh my gosh, too many fingers, too early in the day. I don't care. Let's get to it. Coming at you from an undisclosed location, right? Stepping in front of the glorious camouflage curtain. It is time to discuss what the hell is going on, so you can understand and be prepared, so you can share this information with others. Now, yeah, how did all this happen? How did this idiocracy step into play? Why is it that the world accepts this shit? Joe Biden, aka the big guy, put down another lie, folks. Lies beget lies, beget lies, beget lies, beget lies. But when they're made from a position of power, the seat of authority, a lie is the opposite of what we need. We need freedom. A lie must create the opposite. We need justice. A lie must create the opposite. We need productivity. We need progress. We need freedom and liberty. The lies are the opposite. Okay. Joe Biden says this, quote, I got involved in politics because I think the greatest sin anyone can commit is the abuse of power. Well, is that a lie, or has Joe's actions been a lie? Has the reason he got involved, or did he see that he would be able to commit the greatest abuses of power? And that is why, he tells a lie and he tells the truth. Abuse of power, Joe. That's why you got into politics, was because it was the greatest sin? Now, he didn't say he got involved in politics because he would never commit this greatest of sins, the abuse of power. Right? Why did he get into politics? Because the greatest sin was, and maybe he wanted to commit the greatest sin. Certainly seems that way, right? Because like using one's power to sexually assault a female Senate staff assistant and then abusing her again when she tries to complain about it. Is that greatest sin you're talking about, Joe? Like using one's position as the vice president to fondle children and the wives of others? Is that an abuse of power? That's a sin? Well, is the abuse of power you speak of, like using the presidency to force people to buy health insurance they don't need, can't afford, and using the power of government to penalize them for non-compliance? Is that an abuse of power, Joe? That greatest of sins? And the reason you got into government? Was it because you're for that abuse or against it? The more I look into his abuses of power, which abuse you and I, which abuse the constitutional authority under which he is seated. Yeah. Now, is this abuse, which is so wrong and so sinful, according to Joe Biden, like using supreme government power to mandate the injection of an experimental, untested, unsafe substance into every human under your presumed authority, with the explicit threat of firing them, jailing them, or worse, ruining their reputation, denying them the ability to buy food or even leave their home, violating their human rights, and breaking the law as established by the Nuremberg Code, created to never let the abuse of power the Nazis unleashed ever happen again. But here you are, Joe. Here you are doing that very thing, that abuse of power. Joe, huh? Is the abuse of power like using political power and authority to create a kickback system, a pay-to-play set of schemes using the power of the federal office you hold, then laundering that money through shithole countries like Ukraine? Is that an abuse of power? And if caught, accuse one's political rivals of the same thing and have prosecution or prosecutors lie, folks, lie, and the mainstream media smear people. Is that the kind of abuse, everyone, that Joe Biden is talking about? I'm going to say yes, exactly. He said he got involved in politics because he thinks the greatest sin anyone can commit is the abuse of power. The greatest sin, the greatest crimes. And he can get away with them. Yeah, I do believe he's actually telling the truth. I also believe that that is how MadMax scenarios started, with these abuses. You see, in order to abuse a people, you need authority. And once that authority is gained, the abuse happens and the people don't like it. The people reject it. The people resent it. And the people eventually rise up against it. Now, when that abuse was turned against Russia, and it was, folks, the abuse of the Ukrainian nation by installing a puppet government in the 2014 coup d'etat that installed Voldemort Zelensky, then he, through his power and authority, abused people that his regime didn't like. For example, ethnic Russians living in eastern Ukraine. Part of that country, folks, every government has the duty to protect its citizens. That is what legitimate government is there for, to serve and to protect its own people. Instead, they started abusing, murdering them, committing atrocities even. Atrocities that Voldemort Zelensky did not deny in an interview with Fox News. Instead, he says, they are what they are. Let's not talk about that anymore. Really? What a magnanimous prick. And then Joe Biden, as president, begins to threaten Russia. We're going to move NATO in. We're going to move NATO in. We're moving NATO in to Ukraine to protect our other, right, abuses of power. We're going to abuse you, Russia. Now, unlike the people, the Russian government, Vladimir Putin, guess what he can do? He has his nation's interest at heart. He has to protect his people from this threat. He has to protect his government, his own ass even. And so what has this abuse of power created? It's created a war-like situation. Not world war, but definitely a war. Violence is being committed. People are dying. National borders are being violated because of abuse of power. The abuse of power that Joe Biden says is the greatest sin. Unbelievable, folks. This abuse of power. It's not just for Joe Biden. It's not just for the president. How about Jen Psaki? How about Dr. Fauci? We were told that you cannot contradict experts. You can't say a word about what that goes against the experts. You have to believe the experts. Dr. Fauci said he is the science. He represents science. He is the science. He has science in his pocket, his breast pocket, and he keeps it there to protect the world. Well, he came out and said the pandemic is over. Science declared that the pandemic is over. But Jen Psaki contradicted that. And contradicting science is dangerous. It spreads dangerous and harmful disinformation and must be silenced. And Jen Psaki is no doctor nor biologist. She shouldn't be speaking about anything medical, especially if it involves her contradicting science. Yet she's not silenced. She's not shut up. She's abusing her power, folks. And people would say that Dr. Doom abused his power. And we all agree and understand, yeah, they're power hungry, power thirsty, abusive people. And this is who we have in charge. And it is conditions like this, folks, domestic and international abuse of power results in war, results in unrest, results in the destruction of nations and cultures and empires. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. Are you ready? I sure hope you are, because chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. We'll be back with more, folks. These people are telling us exactly who they are, and we can see and extrapolate from their decisions, their behavior, and their actions where this heads. Semper Fi, Godspeed, and I'll see you soon.